the weekly Pele report for 9/11. 9/11/2024. Just scared you there for a second. All right. Yes, indeed. This is a little bit of the astrology temperature for what is going on. We've entered the eclipse season, and it's a very powerful time. I will be talking to you about that. The moon, of course, is very important, and it's interesting that this week we have both the first quarter moon, okay, which is today, happening at 19 degrees of Sagittarius, all right, and then by next Tuesday we have the lunar eclipse, and that is at 25 degrees Pisces 41. So between now and then, as you can imagine, the moon moves into Capricorn tonight. Yeah. Tomorrow, she opposes Mars, trines Mercury. Friday, trines the Sun and Uranus. All right, which is, pretty amazing and very powerful. Okay, that's like a grand trine happening there almost. And then Saturday, she moves into Aquarius and moves on in through Aquarius basically until Monday. Goes into Pisces, and on Tuesday comes into that full moon after conjuncting Saturn. Other aspects that are happening that are really, before I leave the moon, there is a very sweet grand trine happening, okay, on Sunday. So Sunday is a very beautiful day. The moon up there in Aquarius is trine Venus over in Libra and trine Jupiter in Gemini. A grand trine with the beautiful ladies and Jupiter. Great good fortune. What a wonderful day. Okay, and then, Sunday moves on through Aquarius, enters Pisces. Neptune, Pisces, is the higher octave of love. I'm going to be talking about love today. And then comes into that lunar eclipse. Now, the other thing that's going on at the same time, though, for a little bit of drama here, is we know that Mars has moved into Cancer. Dun, 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 dun. And is coming into a square basically all week. But it's exact on Sunday. So, we have this grand trine on Saturday, and then Mars comes in to square the nodes on Sunday. That is really something that I want to be talking about too. And last but not least, I could go on and on, but on Monday, and of course building up to that and a little after Monday, Venus over there in Libra is opposing Chiron, our wounded healer in Aries. And we know that the north node of the moon is in Aries, along with that wounded healer in Aries. Mars is squaring that node in Aries, and the eclipse, of course, always falls within a few, like 10, 12 degrees of the nodes as the moon comes close to the ecliptic. So, yeah, lots of emotions happening, lots of things going on with the moon's nodes and Mars in Cancer and the lunar eclipse and la-da-da-da-da-da. Let me find a nice place, quiet, relaxing, where I can sit down and talk to you for a while. All right, everybody. Well, you can't be in paradise all the time. Our little canal of water here looks a bit like a dirt ditch, but goodness gracious. I'm in transition, so life is one big transition. Let's talk about these transitions, because everything unfolds according to cycles, and that is astrology, the study of cycles. And we have the eclipse cycles. And these eclipse cycles, besides the Saros cycles, is basically, we're going to say that they happen twice a year, once on the north node, once on the south node. This, you may remember, if you watch the Pele report back in April, I think it was April 8th, we had, a series of eclipses. We're going to have this lunar eclipse coming up and then a solar eclipse following. And it's a time of 6 months. Every 6 months, there is kind of an opening in the astral body of the earth. And new energies come in, old energies go out, deep space. There's like, our shields are down. There's a break in our shields. Right? Yeah, so there's this opening, and stuff comes in and stuff comes up and stuff needs to go out. So particularly now, because we're having the lunar eclipse first and then a solar eclipse, right? So the lunar eclipse right now, when the moon is coming around to the north, her own north node, she's strong. So it's very emotional. Yeah, it's very powerful. And a lot of stuff comes up from the past and from the subconscious. And this is true with Mars in Cancer, squaring these moon's nodes. We call that a skip step when a planet squares the moon's nodes. That skip step is something that I call it the missing piece of the puzzle. It's a detour. We need to go, before we can get to healing our wounded warrior up there in Aries, come into empowerment, come into our true instinctive natural self, own our natural desires. We need to dig, with the sword, with the shovel, with the scalpel, down into Cancer, ruled by the moon, childhood, mom, past, our inner child, our insecurities, our fears, our domestic situation. How are you living? Where are we living? Is our home in order? Is our home in peace? Can we relax? Do we feel a sense of belonging where we are? Or do we feel like aliens, not understood, not belonging? So this Mars in Cancer is really seeking emotional bonding, seeking emotional connection. It's very important. And looking at our feelings and understanding our needs and what's being met and what's not, and maybe making some changes, rearranging the furniture at least, cleaning out the closet perhaps, because like we say, this is in kind of preparation for, in 2 weeks from now, we'll have a solar eclipse. And that is going to be happening in Libra, in relationship and partnership, new beginning, new way, this new moon in Libra, a couple of weeks. Well, it's going to be 3 weeks from now. But so, there's this linkage. And the more we kind of do what needs to be done in the order that it needs to be done, the smoother it flows for us. So the message here has to do with kind of surrender, with sacrifice, with flowing, with forgiving, having compassion, allowing others to be who they will be and us to be who we are, without so much judgment, condemnation, pressure. It's really I'm gonna go into this big time, but I wanted to do the astrology of it first, because this is all being very supported, with the eclipses, with the Mars squaring the nodes, and then these other aspects happening also, It's very, there's just like no accidents, Venus opposite Chiron. Here she is traveling through Libra. Communication, partnership, beauty, harmony, equality, in our relationships amongst the sexes, amongst the political parties, amongst family members. Venus moving through Libra is not wanting a lot of confrontation and arguing and fighting and challenges like that. I mean, it's, wow, Libra is square to Cancer, so there can be this kind of, mixed messages. That was the other thing that I was going to say. We've got Sun square Jupiter and Jupiter square Saturn. We could say that the Sun is still opposite Saturn. It was exact last week. I talked about it in last week's Paleo report. But here we've got Sun opposite Saturn and square Jupiter. And I've talked about this Jupiter square Saturn. It's going to be going on for 9 months. Okay? But right now the Sun's coming around, and it's just kind of like, how do I put it? Bipolar, where you can feel Jupiter, optimistic, let's go, let's travel, I want to expand, take some new classes or courses or write a book, I've got ideas, I've got da-da-da-da, it all makes sense, I'm getting downloads, my intuition's telling me blah, 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 blah. Square Saturn. Get a job, get down to work, get serious, contract. Jupiter wants to expand, Saturn says contract, and so there's this kind of like up and down and up and down and up and down. It can be a little confusing. So, just understand that, it's all perfect, from the eagle perspective. I'll talk about that next week, but we're just walking this path, and it is about awareness, and it is about love, and it is about opening. And so it's all right to have these moments of grief, guilt, shame, sorrow, mistakes made in the past, or regrets, or whatever. You go into your Saturn. Yeah, and it's not easy, and it's mourning. You have to do a mourning process. And then, boom, you can wake up the next day or have another conversation, and you bop into Jupiter, and and you're up, and it may be like, wait a minute, this, am I this or am I that? Am I going this way or that way, or is it this person or that person, or da-da-da-da? What is going on? What's going on is, it's really time to look at both sides of the coin. Heads and tails, so that we can move beyond polarity into unity, which is what I want to be talking about today, because I've been getting some downloads, I've been getting some revelation happening in my life, and one of these revelations that I've had is this relationship between sacrifice, happiness, and love. So I kind of did a little bit of astrology. Now I want to do a little bit of anthroposophy. I want to do a little bit of Kundalini yoga. I want to read to you a little bit about what, some of these sources, because it's just, it struck me as being very phenomenally interesting. And maybe it'll strike you the same way. Yeah. So Yogi Bhajan, he talked about the 7 stages of happiness. And in not such a direct way, Rudolf Steiner also talked about 7 expressions of love. Now you can relate these maybe to the 7 chakras, but we can relate these to the 7 bodies. We can rate the number 7 as a very powerful, significant number in occultism. But what we want to look at, and I'm going to just I'll start out with Rudolf Steiner and his love. I will put a link to a video by Brian Gray. He is an old friend teacher from Rudolf Steiner College. We know each other for many, many years, going way back. And we studied Astrology, which is the anthroposophical form of astrology together. It's very interesting. But he's talking here today about The Philosophy of Freedom, which is a book that Rudolf Steiner wrote. And he's also talking about another book by Rene Cuerdo, another teacher of mine who was at one point the director of Rudolf Steiner College and a prolific author, historian, anthroposophist, amazing man. But he wrote a book on the Reflections on the Mystery of Love by Rene Cuerdo. You may want to check that out if you are interested in following up on this a little more. So what we have is these 7 bodies. The first and the lowest expression in physical matter, of course, is our physical body. So physical love, yes, has the quality of warmth. We exchange warmth, mother to child, husband to wife, man to man, woman to woman, whatever. But this warmth, this bodily warmth is the quality of love through the physical. Then we move up to the etheric body. Yes? And the etheric body, the expression of love, and of course, we got to look at the polarity. If it's not warmth, if it's lacking love, it's coldness. And you can be cold, right? So I'm going to be doing the, lacking and, the fulfillment of, okay? So the fulfillment on the etheric level, okay, has very much to do here with affection and tenderness. So we have not just this warmth and this physical connection on the etheric, then we have this tender affection. And if that's missing, we have indifference and isolation, a sense of being completely separate and isolated. Yeah? Then on from the etheric, we move up to the astral plane, the astral body, the astral level. Yeah? Okay. And from there is desire, passion, and the sense of harmony and togetherness and juiciness and oneness and this whole kind of, it's like the teenage years, right? We do have the physical is ages 0 to 7. The etheric develops from 7 to 14. The astral 14 to 21. You can also go up the ladder of ages, but I don't want to get too complicated here. If that's missing, rejection and disharmony. We experience this in our astral bodies, in our astral plane. Then we move up to the 4th level of the ego, the I am. And in that I am, there is simply, and we kind of move outside of this physical, etheric, astral into consciousness. So you don't have necessarily the sexual need, the physical. The person doesn't even have to be in the room or whatever, but there is just kind of this recognition from an ego to ego. I recognize you. I see you. I understand you. Otherwise, without that, there's alienation and estrangement. Then we move beyond that into the manas realm, which is if we transform our astral body, it becomes more into the manas, but I won't get too much into that kind of thing. And there, love is experienced as revelation. Just an opening, a revealing of the deeper mysteries of a person, of life, of understanding. This revelation can happen. And with love not there, right, there is stagnation, a sense of apathy, meaninglessness, not only disconnection and isolation, but just like disillusionment, right? very challenging. Then we can move up beyond that into the Buddhic. Yes, the Buddhic state is redemption and healing. So this healing power of love, and we can be redeemed by love. We can be lifted by love. It's this very high. We're getting more spiritual and more subtle, with each one of these levels. And if you don't have that, there can be illness and destruction. This is where, right, there's not healing, there's illness. And things can begin to really fall apart if we don't experience or have love on that particular level of our soul nature, of our being. And then the final, and I found this very interesting, is at the 7th level of Atman, right? The transformed physical, the highest expression, right? Sacrifice. Sacrifice. Love, it expresses itself through the willingness to sacrifice. Very, very, very beautiful. And without that sacrifice, there is egoism and abstraction. So we have the positive and the negative manifestations of these. So this is what this is love kind of descending down through the cosmos, through the frequencies, through the bodies, through the levels. They're all kind of like, those Russian dolls, one inside the other, inside the other, inside the other. Very beautiful. But now, what I found so interesting, I want to switch over to Yogi Bhajan and Kundalini Yoga. And he talks about the 7 steps to happiness. And these 7 steps to happiness begin with, he says, commitment. He says, we were meant to commit. In life, in every life, we were meant to commit. Hence the word commitment. Once we commit, that commitment builds character. Yeah, character. And character is when all of our facets, the facets of my being, of all my flaws, of all the facts, right, are under control. This is character. He defines this character. And as we build our character, right, that character, there's more. But this character leads to dignity. I have dignity. And dignity is when people trust you. Just when they first see you, there is this sense of trust. There's no duality about you. People don't fear you. There is just, you've got this character, you walk with dignity, you talk with dignity, and there is very powerful. And out of that dignity, then comes grace. Yeah, there's that grace leads to there's no interference. Yeah, there's no hidden agendas. There is just, transparency, authenticity, walking your talk gracefully. And then that gracefulness, right? That gracefulness leads to a willingness to sacrifice, where you can stand any pain for that person. You are willing to go that extra, spend that energy, go through that pain for another person. And through that sacrifice, that can lead to happiness. In fact, happiness emerges out of sacrifice in that particular paradigm. So this is a very interesting dynamic, because here we have this lunar eclipse happening in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces for 3 years, Neptune in Pisces for 14 years. In January, the north node of the moon will move into Pisces for 1.5 years. And we are emerging out of this age of Pisces. But what is Pisces in essence? It is love, unity, oneness, no separation, no time, no space. We call it chaos because we can't understand it with our minds and our brains. So it's chaos. And when that boils down to, or when that comes into, manifest earthly third dimensional creation of this material physical world, oh boy. That's where it gets tricky. Because egolessness and selflessness can lead to innocence, it can lead to naivety, it can lead to you giving yourself away, shorting yourself, and becoming a victim. It can lead to martyrdom. So it is associated with sacrifice. Yeah? Sacrificing is a Piscean, Neptunian, connection, archetype, relationship. The martyr. Yes, Jesus Christ brought in this age of Pisces. He was a Pisces, and he was a martyr. And we have it very etched in our consciousness, okay, from many past lives in this age of Pisces, that there's an association with love and sacrifice. But if it goes, it can go so far. It can only go, so far before it becomes destructive, right? And the other aspect of that, then, the downside of this, Piscean, this lunar eclipse, can be that I want to escape, I want to avoid, I want to deny this pain, this suffering. I don't want to sacrifice. I want to live in my innocent Garden of Eden forever and not really deal, so much with, the deep emotional pain and suffering that can happen here on this planet. So there is this relationship, and it's very important to kind of, realize that through this movement of sacrifice, happiness can be gained. If it is willfully chosen, desired, done with love and with the heart, then you have great happiness can come out of sacrifice. I gave this up for this other person, and I don't know. It's like when a mother gives up something for her child or her, your dog. You take your dog for a walk, because your dog wants to go out, and you've got lots of work to do, but your dog wants to walk, and you sacrifice your work, for your dog, and by God, you get out there on the trail, and there's happiness. You see, so there is this. When it is resisted with attitude and viewed or seen as loss, as like, oh, I'm giving up, I'm a martyr, I'm a victim, I'm not sacrificing willingly. They got to take it from me. They've got to just, it's something, we're walking a path of life, kind of given to us with our birth on this planet, with our charts, with our bodies, with our DNA, and we're walking this path, and we can walk this path in freedom and use that freedom to choose to love. Love is a choice, particularly when it comes to sacrifice, right? And we can willingly love. So even starts with commitment, right? And I am going to commit to love, which means I'm going to commit to giving, serving, sacrificing willingly, but knowing that this is the high road, knowing that this is a path of evolution, that this is a path of ascension. It can be very super cool. It's moving out of polarity, moving out of judgment, moving out of better or less than. So I want to read to you the Sabian symbol for this eclipse. I find it very interesting because, it really has to do with, where are we? Yeah, it is not Aquarius. It's, I said, anyway, watching the very thin moon crescent appearing at sunset. Different people realize that the time has come to go ahead with their different projects. It's a keen appreciation of the value of individualized responses to any challenge in life. So this symbol refers to the fact that confronted with the opportunity to expand their energy along new lines, modern individuals will react according to their own personal characters. One basic cosmic spiritual impulse will lead these varied personalities to take equally varied steps. So we can take the one basic cosmic spiritual impulse to love, and that impulse is going to be acted upon differently by everybody. In any society that glorifies individualism, which is many societies these days, everyone should therefore accept this fact and not try to compel other individuals to conform to a single pattern or response. This should lead to a realization of the fallacy of totalitarianism. There is no, demanding that others react to any situation exactly as we do. So, the sacrifice of love that we may be making, during this time, it's very nice to have Jupiter, Venus, moon trine, and then this eclipse. But, we can just kind of let go of, this judgment or wanting others to act a certain way, and we can sacrifice our own single point of view to take a higher, the condor or the eagle perspective that accepts all that is, with all the different opinions and ways of being and individual expressions that every other individual has in the world. It's very, very beautiful. So today's mantra, yes? I will keep walking this path of healing, understanding more every day, and give back to life, helping those in strife to find a better way. May we take this lunar eclipse time, this moon, Saturn, Neptune, Piscean energy, this Venus opposite Chiron, the healer energy. Love is the power of healing. Healing is the power of love. To really go forward and create happiness through our conscious willingness to sacrifice. One more time. I will keep walking this path of healing, understanding more every day, and give back to life, helping those in strife to find a better way. This week's song, of course, is What Else is Pisces? The Mystic, Van Morrison, Into the Mystic. Yeah, baby. Click that link below. Check out the video, the song. Repeat that mantra to yourself this week and lend a hand. Yeah? Lend a hand to those in strife. Namaste. Aloha. So much love.